friends, Krista here. Thanks for stopping by Books and Jams, and today I'm going to be telling you about my books I would like to read in the month of January of 2020. Yay! I can't believe it's a new year, it's a new decade. There's so much to look forward to in this year ahead. I have lots of plans, lots of goals, and I'm really excited. I always feel like there's something fun about kind of turning a new page, starting a new planner, all of those things. And I have a whole list of videos I want to film, especially because I gave myself about a week of a break after Vlogmas ended. And now I have a whole new list of videos I want to film, but the easiest one for me is this January TBR because I've had this pile going for quite a while. So let me just jump right in and tell you about the books that I would like to read in January. But first of all, because it is the first month of a new year, I'm going to tell you about a little project that I'm doing in 2020. A lot of people over the last couple years, there was kind of a trend at looking back at old book hauls and reflecting on whether you read the books or not, or unhauled them or whatever. It all kind of started with Kayla from Books and Lala with her Closet Unhaul series. And I'm kind of taking a twist on that series. I did do a whole year's worth of looking back at past book hauls, but I thought I would switch it up a little bit in 2020 and take a look back at 2017 was my first full year on BookTube. And then also 2018. So I looked back at January 2017 and January 2018 at my TBR videos. I am not going to go through the effort of putting in the actual video from 2 years ago and 3 years ago. I'm just going to tell you the books that I did not read from those TBRs, and I'm adding them to my January 2020 TBR pile. And if I don't read them by the end of the month, they're getting out of here. So I'm going to be really strict with myself. I think I will, like Kayla, give myself one save each month. And some months I will have a lot, and some months I might not have any. This month, for January, from 2017 and 2018, I have 5 books that I didn't read. In 2017, I had included Sacred Rhythms by Ruth Haley Barton, which is a nonfiction, and I included Winter Solstice by Rosamund Pilcher. Both of these books are ones that I definitely really want to read. One of my kind of personal goals for 2019 is to read a lot more, 2020, is to read more Christian nonfiction. I have a lot of like faith books on my shelves, and I really want to incorporate them more into some devotional or quiet time that I incorporate into my days. So I am definitely planning and hoping to get to Sacred Rhythms and kind of read it slowly throughout the month as part of that kind of quiet time. I also am very interested in reading Winter Solstice. I've heard a lot of really good things about it. It is a really big book, and I'm going to try not to let that scare me away. I have so many really big books that I want to read in 2020 that are on my shelves, and I'm hoping to get to some of them. So this is another one that I'm really hoping to get. I do have 3 really short books that I did not get to in 2018. I have Between the World and Me, which you've most recently seen on my November TBR, and unfortunately I started this one. I maybe got about 30 pages in, and it's not grabbing me at all. So we'll see if I try to get to this one or not, but I have Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. I have March by Geraldine Brooks. I'm kind of excited that this one's on there because this, in a way, is a Little Women retelling or a book based on Little Women, because we kind of follow the father who left to go fight in war, and I think it's the Civil War. Yes. And so we follow the father in this book, and so we have a little bit of Little Women influence, and I just read that in December and absolutely loved it. Just saw the movie on Christmas Day and absolutely loved it. So I think this would be really fun to read so closely to having read Little Women. And the third book is Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress by Dai Siji. And I don't really know anything about this book. I haven't really heard people talking about it. So it's kind of one of those random ones that made it onto a TBR 2 years ago, and I haven't picked it up yet. Am I going to pick it up this month? I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. So these 5 are either going to be read or unhauled. this month. This is one of the bigger months. I have a couple others that are pretty big, and I have a couple that are very small, so that's good. But these 5 are going to be on my TBR. But now for the books that I definitely want to read in January, I have 5 more. I'm really excited because in 2020, Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand and I are going to be doing Lord of the Read-Along. We're hosting a read-along of J.R.R. Tolkien's books, The Hobbit, and then The Fellowship of the Ring, Return of the King, and Two Towers. Maybe not in that order. I can't think right now. But in January, we're going to be reading The Hobbit. And there's a Goodreads group. I will link it down below. I would love for you to join in if you haven't already joined in that group, kind of get to know some people. There's a lot of fun questions going around, and everybody's sharing where they're from and what they're reading. So I would love for you to join in, but the discussion for The Hobbit will start very soon as the Lord of the Read-Along begins. And I'm very excited about this, but I do know it will be a quick read. It's technically labeled middle grade. It's almost a prequel to the Lord of the Rings books. It gets us kind of introduced to Middle Earth and hobbits and dwarves and wizards and everything like that. So it's just lovely, and I cannot wait to reread this book in January. If you've been around for any length of time, you know that I host a read-along kind of book club. Mainly we just read along to a book together. This will be the start of year 4 for the read-along, which is very cool. But this year, we're going to start the year off by reading Snowflower and the Secret Fan by Lisa C. This is a book I've heard such high praise for. A girl named Lily at the tender age of 7 is paired with an Lao Tang or Old Same in an emotional match that will last a lifetime. So it's kind of a mentor-mentee relationship, this young girl coming of age. We are going to learn about foot binding, which I am not prepared for because I remember reading about that when I was much younger, and I know it's going to be heartbreaking and kind of make me a little ill as well, just because of the pain that these women were kind of forced to put themselves through. Anyways, I'm really excited about this read. I've heard such good things about this book in particular and Lisa C in general. You guys may know that Lisa C is one of the 5 authors I would like to read in 2020. I'm knocking one out right at the beginning of the year, and I hope that you join me in reading this. A book of the month book that I would like to read. I'm trying to keep on top of my book of the month books in order to justify continuing to keep this membership, but it just made sense to add The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow onto my January TBR. I mean, it's in the title, and this cover is absolutely gorgeous. I have heard good things about this. I think it's a YA about a young girl named January, and I believe it has some literary influence as well. Yes, January finds a strange book, a book that carries the scent of other worlds and tells a tale of secret doors, of love, adventure, and danger. Each page turn reveals impossible truths about the world, and January discovers a story increasingly entwined with her own. So I'm excited about that. I love books about books, and I just think this will be a fun read and perfect for the month of January. If you watched any of my Vlogmas videos, I hope that you caught my 12 Books of Christmas book exchange that I did with Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand and Lindsay from Lindsay's Little Library. We each sent 12 books to the other 2 people and then opened them with you on our channels throughout the month of December. And as we were talking about it, we kind of want to make reading these books a priority, or at least an emphasis in 2020, not necessarily a strict goal. I will read them all, but I'm going to choose 2, one from each of the books that they gave to me, and add them to my TBR each month in hopes that I will just be excited to read. I'm very excited to read so many of those books that they sent me, but I did pick 2 that jumped out at me when I was looking at all 24 of them all together. Sarah sent me Pride, Prejudice, and Other Flavors by Sonali Deb. I read a Pride and Prejudice retelling in December and wasn't very thrilled with it. I didn't really care for the characters or the story or the writing style or pretty much anything about that book except the beautiful cover. So I'm kind of in the mood for another Pride and Prejudice retelling, and I'm hoping that this one is a little bit more exciting. This is a Pride and Prejudice retelling in an Indian American family, and I think that will be in kind of an interesting and different take on the story. So we'll see how that one goes. And also one that was very highly commented on when I opened it And so many of you had such high praise for Lisa Genova and said that this is one of your favorites or your favorite by her. I did read Every Note Played by her and really loved it. Lisa Genova is a neuroscientist or a neurosurgeon. I can't remember which. And she deals with different brain abnormalities or brain diseases. And this one deals with Alzheimer's. And I know that Alzheimer's is something that has touched so many people's lives, and mine included. So I think this will be an emotional read, but I love that it's coming from an author who has a lot of compassion, but also a lot of knowledge of what a life with Alzheimer's does to people and their families, because she has a lot of experience dealing with it. So I'm really excited about reading this one as well. So that's it. 10 books, which I'm kind of hoping to have much smaller TBRs throughout the year. I am definitely planning on getting to these 5, but I really hope to make it to a bunch of these as well. I do plan on having a smaller amount of books read in 2020. It was a bit excessive as far as how I spend my time and things in 2019. I guess it was good. I needed it. It was a season. I read 150 books or so. It's not quite the end of December yet, so we'll see how close I get. I'm very close to it. I'm keeping my Goodreads reading goal relatively low comparatively, still high for the majority of the world. But I really do want to focus on some big books this year, and I do want to spread out my time doing a couple other things that are important to me in 2020. So we'll see how things go. It's January almost, and who knows where things will end up to come the end of the year. But I think it's time for me to put my Christmas things away and get to filming some other videos. But I'm excited about January. I hope that you are too. I would love to hear what is 1 or 2 books that you're excited to read. Have you read any of the ones I talked about today? Are you joining in for Lord of the Read Along or my Books and Jams Read Along? I would love to hear that as well. All the links of things that I talked about are in the description box below. Comment down below. You guys know I love talking to you down there, and I will be talking to you in another video very soon. Bye. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I'm so glad you're here.